W-T-L.
It's time!
W-T-L.
I think we got a show. Oh, yeah, we got a show.
W-T-L.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
Back in a big way.
Yeah.
You know, we had 2 really good weeks in a row
Yeah.
there. Got touched up last week.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
It does.
You know, the old Skurs just couldn't pull through for us on a couple of deals.
Yeah, it was almost going to be a really, really good weekend for me and all that kind of stuff. But, the Huskers just couldn't pull through. I mean, in Michigan State gave us every single chance they could for us to be in that game. So, hopefully we can bounce back this week, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see, and we will be there, and we will get into that. But first, we got to start with our full slate of NFL football, and we're going to take you all the way from Thursday night to Monday night.
Yeah.
So let's start with the game that I'm sure Amazon's so excited they got stuck with here.
Yes.
The Carolina Panthers. A nice looking jersey over there.
Yep.
For those watching on the YouTube channel. And I'm a Bears fan. Taking on the Chicago Bears, who are a 3.5-point favorite here.
Yeah.
And that total's actually been bet up to 38.5 here is where I'm looking at it currently.
Yeah, for sure, Andy. I do think the total was a little low when the line came out.
Yeah.
They only had the Bears as a 1.5 favorite coming into this game, when the line hit, which was, I think, a very very wrong, obviously. They got to be at least a touchdown better than the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, there's not a lot to talk about with this team or a lot of intrigue with the 2 teams combined for 3 wins, Andy. The good news is that I think it should be a really competitive matchup. I think this is 2 of the, lower echelon of the NFC going at it.
Yeah.
And,
somebody's got to win.
And a couple, like you alluded to earlier, a couple rookie quarterbacks. So it should be a fun matchup, not necessarily for anybody that's not a Carolina Panthers or a Bears fan, but I do believe this does the over, and I would have to side with the Bears at home, even though I'm a Panther faithful.
Now, I'm seeing a lot of 3s across the board here. Getting that 3.5, does that give you a moment of pause there?
For sure. If you can get the 3.5 by the Panthers, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad bet, but I do believe that the Chicago Bears probably still win this by a touchdown. I do.
Yeah, and we have seen some good things from Deontay Foreman, the running back, former Carolina Panther, right?
Former Carolina Panther.
And when he can get 15 or more touches, he generally has a good game and can eclipse that 80-yard mark. And when they do that, they've won a couple of games.
Yeah, for sure.
When he has a performance like that, it's just that he doesn't always get those carries. I don't think Khalil Herbert is going to be back. They've mentioned that he might be questionable. He might be coming back. But then I saw an article by Jeremy Fowler, one of those guys on ESPN.
Yeah.
And they straight up said, well, can you trust anybody from Chicago on your fantasy team at running back? And the answer is no.
The answer is no.
Not at all.
I've been able to plug Foreman in a couple weeks, and he's done all right for me. The one player prop that I'm really excited about for this game, Andy, it's a little revenge game. Not the guy that you just talked about, but I'm talking my guy DJ Moore for the Chicago Bears. His over-under on DraftKings for yardage right now is only at 53.5. I believe he is going to smoke this. Not that he has any bad blood against Carolina, but he's going to want to show out in his new hometown, in his new home state against the team that traded him away. So over 53.5 yard, I think this is really easy for him. If you want to get crazy with it, DJ Moore, anytime touchdown scorer, is at a plus 160. That's pretty good value as well, I think. They're going to try and get him in the end zone for sure.
I like that. That might, anytime touchdown DJ Moore, that might be my best bet as far as a player prop. Then the over, the total is probably my other best bet on this game as a whole. Otherwise, I kind of want to stay away from it as well.
I agree.
Because this is going to be a 2 bad teams slugging it out with rookie quarterbacks.
It is.
No matter how. Your guy was number 1 pick overall. My guy was an unsigned free agent, but they're still both rookie quarterbacks in the NFL trying to figure it out.
They are.
All right, should we move on to a Sunday game?
Let's do it.
This one has a little bit more fun, a little more pop, a little more pizzazz.
2 winning teams.
There you go. 2 winning teams coming off 2 wins.
Yeah.
The New Orleans Saints, who beat my Chicago Bears last week, are taking on the Minnesota Vikings up in Minneapolis. The Vikings are a 2.5-point favorite. That total is sitting at 41.
Yeah, it's crazy, Andy. This was actually flip-flopped when it came out. Everybody was, high on the Saints, but everybody's like, no. Minnesota looks like they got something going at quarterback here.
Yes.
The team is still very good all around. The line flipped really quick to Minnesota's favor, and I believe with the home field advantage, I think they get this one done. I don't know how far Josh Dobbs can take this team, but I know he can take them past the New Orleans Saints.
I think everybody across the NFL felt good for Dobbs.
No doubt.
Last week. It was a pretty cool story, and the high stakes and winning at the end there. I think he threw that touchdown with like 22 seconds left.
Exactly. It was right at the end. He made a whole bunch of big plays throughout the stretch to get them there, and then, capped it off.
And the way he was crediting head coach Kevin O'Connor, who catches a lot of heat up in Minneapolis.
No doubt.
And a lot of people are praising him, saying that might have been the best coaching job in the NFL this season, pulling off that performance and that win with that type of quarterback on short notice.
Yeah, literally just won that game without their 2 best players in Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, with a banged-up T.J. Hawkinson and Cam Akers. Pretty good coaching there.
Yep. So can they ride that? I think a lot of folks are saying they can against the New Orleans Saints, who, a lot of things had to break right for them just to beat the Bears last week.
Exactly.
That was a good game.
Tight end, quarterback / running back, wide receiver, Taysom Hill, had to literally decimate the Bears on every front. And that's what happened. The way that I look at this, Andy, is they are a very similar team to the Atlanta Falcons team that Minnesota just beat. And with another week of practice, another week of drills and all that kind of stuff with the Minnesota Vikings, I think Dobbs is going to be that much more sharp. And I think they're going to beat the Saints team.
I think home field is worth 3 points.
No doubt.
I think you can get that 2.5 there.
2.5 hook, it's good.
There we go. Should we look at Sunday night?
Let's do it.
Oh, Sunday night on NBC. That's a 7:20 kickoff. The Jets are heading out to Las Vegas to take on the 4-5 Raiders.
Yeah.
This is a really low total, and it's been bet up. To 36. Unbelievable.
1 point favorite for the Raiders, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's totally just home field advantage.
Yeah.
I remember 2 weeks ago, everybody was sitting there saying the Raiders are dead, Raiders are dead, Raiders are dead. Came in, got a pretty good looking win, but it's against the worst team in the NFL, the New York Football Giants. Last week, their offensive line is just decimated, and if anything, the strong point on the Raiders is that defensive line with Max Crosby. I think the Jets is free money here, even though they did look pretty terrible on Monday Night Football against the Chargers. I just do believe they got an overall better team across the board. Jets defense is no slouch, and I believe Zach Wilson, when primed to be, can get some points on the board. So I got Jets on the road here. I think they get the win.
Maybe it was a tough loss against the Chargers, but a lot of people were pumping the Chargers up like they might be the team
for sure.
To beat out
doubt.
Of the West there. And no matter how you slice or dice it, they're 3 of 4. They've won 3 of the last 4 games straight up. Have the Jets,
no doubt.
And I don't know how much you can account for home field with Las Vegas.
No,
it's less than Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys bring in a big crowd from the visitors section. And it's more so for Vegas, and that's kind of geared that way.
It really is geared that way. And just a couple of these numbers, Andy. New York Jets lost 3 fumbles, committed 8 penalties, and just went 3 of 17 against the Chargers the other night. I don't believe they're consistently going to be that bad. And I believe the Raiders can't get anything going on offense with one of the best players in the world, Devontae Adams, and still can't get it going. So I got the Jets. I think it's a locked up money here.
Yeah. Adams seems like a pretty frustrated guy.
For sure. I would be too.
Out there in the desert. Okay, should we move on to Monday night?
Let's round it out.
ESPN Monday Night Football, a team on a winning streak that I don't know a lot of folks had them pegged to be be this at this point in the season.
No way.
The Denver Broncos have won a couple games in a row, including their last win over the Kansas City Chiefs. They're heading up to Buffalo to take on the Bills, who have a winning record, but I think a lot of folks out there is going to be sitting a little bit better than 5-4. The Buffalo Bills are still a 7.5-point favorite, though.
Broncos country.
Broncos, let's ride.
Let's ride.
Right.
Like you said, right when it looked like the Broncos were left for dead, they put together wins over the Packers and the Chiefs, like you said, and the defense shined in those wins. That's what it's all about. The Broncos also have an extra week to prepare for this game. It's all the way on Monday night. It's going to be, glowing, bright lights and all that kind of stuff. Josh Allen definitely doesn't back away from that, but Russ has always shown up for those primetime games. I just believe that Bills are underachievers. If I'm getting over a touchdown with this Broncos team the way that they're playing right now, I'm taking it. I
think you're making a lot of sense there. I like Denver catching that many points. Maybe I'm a little shaky if it gets under that 7.5.
For sure.
But over a touchdown, give me Denver all day. I know Denver's only 2-6 against the spread, their last 8 games. Buffalo's worse. They're 0-5.
Yeah.
0-5 against the spread. That's at home. That's away. It doesn't matter. Buffalo is underachieving in a big way. A lot of people want to put them in the conversation with Kansas City.
With Cincinnati. Eagles. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Of Super Bowl, contenders. And they're not that. It's just they haven't shown it yet. The running game is hit or miss, and the defense hasn't been good
There is no running game. There's no running game.
Exactly. And the Bills are 17th in total defense and 18th in rush defense, so middle of the pack. I'm not laying big chalk on this by any means, but give me the Broncos in a touchdown with that hook.
And it's actually been bet down to that 7.5. It opened up at 8.5 or better.
No doubt. People are going to be jumping on the Broncos.
What do you think about that total real quick? It's been bet up to 47.
I just don't know about it, especially if they can't get that running game going. I don't believe they're just going to be able to take shots and shots and shots with Kincaid and Diggs the entire time and expect to beat the Broncos. So I like the under, if anything, on this, just because I do not still believe in the Broncos' chances to put out a light show, even against this Bills team. So I would have to lean with the under here in the Broncos covering.
I completely agree. The under is the play. If you had to touch that, if you don't feel good about it, I totally understand.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the under is there for all the reasons you just mentioned. You heard the horn. That means we're up against it. So let's take a quick minute here to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. I've been drinking the Cardinal IPA. What do you got going on?
The Pickle Fight. All day, every day. Best drinkable beer that tastes like a pickle.
It's pretty good.
Pickle punch to the throat.
Pickle punch to the throat. It says it right there on the can. All right. World class in every glass. The Nebraska Brewing Company. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the parlay pounder.
You got it.
And are we going to be smashing a parlay right here, right now at the end of this one?
No, I'm waiting.
We're waiting.
Everybody needs to wait and listen to all 4 segments.
Okay.
And then you'll get the parlay.
At the end of the hour.
The big money
the
at the end of the hour.
The bottom of the hour is going to make it bottom dollar.
That's
something
it.
like that.
That's it. Top dollar for bottom.
Top dollar. Okay, I like this. Top, bottom. We cover it all.
We cover it
all of it. So now we're gonna get into college football here.
Let's do it.
There is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Ranked teams playing each other, squaring off in all the different leagues here, and we're going to start right here in the Big Ten, with a couple teams that only have one loss between them.
Yeah.
And at this point in the season, that's pretty impressive, regardless of your schedule and all that stuff the detractors like to throw at you. The number 2 in the land, Michigan Wolverines, are a 4.5-point favorite going on the road to play Penn State. The Nittany Lions are only 8-1. They're 9th ranked in the nation. That's going to be a Fox Big Noon kickoff at 11. Let's see here. That total is at 45 is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, Andy. This is definitely a game that everybody has circled on their calendar all year long. The haters against Michigan. Michigan themselves have this one circled on. How good are we? How good is the Big Ten?
Yeah.
This is the game everybody's looking at, especially with the preview of Michigan versus Ohio State coming later in the season. So that being said, This did open up a little tighter. It was
one.
At one.
It was basically a
towards
pick 'em.
Michigan.
Yep.
Basically a pick 'em. All the way out to 4.5 now, Andy's where I'm seeing it. Like you said, when I'm very uncertain about a game, when I'm just thinking it's going to be a great game, I go with the home team most of the time. And if they're getting 4.5 points, Andy, that is the way that you have to bet this game. Okay. Unless you're a total Michigan homer and think that they're the world beaters, the best team in college football, I cannot lay 4.5 points towards that team going into Beaver Stadium and trying to beat the number 10 team in the nation.
My informant Did he get to see Penn State earlier this year?
I don't know.
But I know he's not going to be on the sideline.
He's not going to be on the side. Well, he's going to be in the stadium like he's been.
Poor Michigan just can't get away from this story.
For sure.
But I think this is going to add fuel to their fire.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to steamroll Penn State if they get a chance. And we've seen Penn State give up some points earlier this season in the past, and Michigan has straight up taken care of business of lesser opponents. And I think Penn State is. Unfortunately, I think that's where they're at. I thought they were better than what I've seen. Maybe that was a one-game slip-up against elite competition, but you can't get much more elite than Michigan coming to town.
No, you definitely can't, Andy. And like you just said, Michigan has won each of its last 21 games against conference opponents. That's pretty dang good. Michigan has also covered the spread in each of its last 5 road games. So that is some good statistics towards the Wolverines. It's just one of these games that I don't know if I'm going to go either way.
Yeah.
But one thing I am going to bet on, Andy, each of Michigan's last 7 games against top 10 AP ranked teams have gone over. We are going over in this game. That the best bet is the over. Give me the Michigan. Penn State over.
Hey, I explained a couple weeks ago on Her Dad Sports Radio on their morning show why you always bet the over with Penn State, because James Franklin gets it.
He loves it.
He's going to give you those points.
The points.
Even if it has to come at the end of a game in a sly way, he's going to get another one in there.
Well, even it can happen a couple of ways, Andy.
Yeah.
Michigan can really put it on them and score 40 themselves, and Penn State's 14 or whatever, or this could be the shootout that everybody wants it to be and just sky over that. So I really believe the over is the only play here that's kind of safe.
All right.
I love the over.
I think the over is the best bet.
Yeah.
And then if you had to take it, you're leaning towards Penn State.
I am.
I'm leaning towards Michigan. Obviously, you wish you would have got it earlier in the week when it was under 3.
Yeah, for sure,
or
for
at
Michigan.
3.
For
yes,
sure.
for Michigan. But now that you're off that key number and you're north of 3.5 points, you're sitting square on 4 or 4.5.
Yeah.
Every half point makes it tougher and tougher to bet Michigan.
Yeah.
But I think this is like a statement game for these guys.
Well, it definitely is, Andy, no matter which way it goes. But even if I was a Michigan bettor, I would maybe look at that money line just to get off of that points.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there with a minus 170 or minus 190 money line, that would be a better play, I believe, than the 4.5 laying the points there. So I do like Michigan to maybe win this game, but I just believe it's going to be late and it's going to be a shootout, I believe.
Nobody would be surprised to see a really close, tight game here.
For sure.
Should we move out west?
Let's do it.
The Utah Utes are heading on up to Seattle to take on the Washington Huskies, where the Huskies find themselves a 9.5 point favorite here. That totals at 51. Utah still hanging around there. I believe they only got 2 losses on the season yet. They're 7-2, and they're currently ranked 13th in the nation. So it's not going to be a pushover.
It's not.
And hats off to Utah, because since the Urban Meyer days, I don't think anyone thought they never get put in that upper echelon.
They don't. They're always ranked, but they're.
And now we feel like they're underachieving, and they've only lost 2 games. So that's what I'm getting at. Credit to them that they're sitting at 7-2, and we're like, boy, they really, wet the bed this season.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think a lot of folks would be surprised if they gave Washington all they could handle.
Yeah, for sure, Andy. And I do believe what you're just saying there. I do believe the Huskies are getting a couple points here because of how well they played against USC last week, and that was a great game.
It was.
If you're looking for, out west football, that is about the best you're going to get. 2 Heisman Trophy candidates going up against each other, 52-42. That is the way that they play football out there. And I believe that that's going to be a little bit of what we see, but I really believe if you can get it at 10, I love the Utes. 9.5 is where that line is right now. I would maybe wait until a lot more people pour money on Washington to jump on the Utes.
It's coming.
I do love the Utes in this one to keep it close for most of the game. So I just believe that Utah has the better probably the best defense that Washington has seen all year, and the Huskies don't have a strong defensive unit. They just don't.
They don't.
They rely on Penix Jr. to score all the points, and he does.
Yep, the Heisman front runner, and that's one of the luxuries you have. And this line, it's been moving, man. It opened at 3.5. Now it's already up to 10.5. That makes me think that somebody's going to keep pouring money in on Washington, and they'll get you that half point. So you can probably wait to get that 10. Just want to check in on a guy you mentioned there, the Heisman front runner, Heisman hopeful, Michael Penix Jr. already has over 3,000 yards passing this season.
He's
3,000 yards.
He's cooking. If you've listened to the show, we've told you even on our Heisman, futures bet. This is the guy. This is the guy.
He is completing 69.4% of his passes, and he throws a lot of passes.
A lot.
Unbelievable.
And if you look at his passing numbers against anybody in college football, if these guys can just not, even if they lose this game, I'm just saying if he just doesn't lay flat out and just lose from here on out, I think this guy has it locked up on stats alone. This guy beat the ex-Heisman Trophy winner, and they're undefeated now. I don't believe that they're going to lose this game.
They got the signatures wins.
They got the signature wins, Oregon and USC. So he's money right now.
He sent last year's Heisman crying to his mom, and that was literal. That's a literal, literally.
That is what happened.
Literally, girlfriend? No, literally, that's what happened.
That is what happened. But also, to get off that point as well, there are huge implications in this game, Andy, coming out. So I'm expecting a tight, kind of a back and forth here. And give me Utah with the points. It
is a lot of points, and I like the idea of them keeping it close.
For sure.
They're a better team than what they looked like in those 2 losses.
No doubt.
And they have 7 wins.
No doubt.
Hey, let's move on over to another couple of teams that are sitting at 7-2.
Yeah.
That being the number 14 ranked Tennessee Volunteers heading on over to Missouri. The Missouri Tigers are also 7-2, and they're ranked 16th in the nation. They are home dogs. I just saw some late line movement here, all the way to square 2.
Yeah.
I've just looked at it, too.
Yeah. Are the Vols this big of frauds? Or is Tennessee this big of frauds? Like
they have been. They have been.
I don't see why Missouri's not favored here. I do believe that Tennessee's going to win this game, but Missouri should be favored at home. I guess that's kind of back-talking my own play here. I just wish I got a better play on it. I wish I was getting some points with Tennessee.
Yeah.
I get why the Vols are getting the respect here, but you can't trust their quarterback. You cannot trust Joe Milton III at quarterback because he's just been...
Hey, man, Tennessee covers. 5 of the last 6 they have covered.
Yeah.
They have covered the spread. But the same can be said for Missouri. I just looked at they've covered 6 of their last 7.
Yeah.
So that's why you're looking at that just a slim 2-point margin. When I was taking notes here for this, it was 1.5.
Yeah, no.
So
that's what it is, Andy.
Yeah.
But my point was that Joe Milton, quarterback for Tennessee, he can throw it a heck of a long. He has the strength and he has the distance on his throws, but he's wildly inaccurate. I trust Brady Cook a lot more with his group of weapons.
Yeah.
I think in the end, Missouri might get this done at home. I think it's going to be kind of a signature win for the Tigers if they could have that in this realm of football that they're playing.
Missouri's probably had a lot more success in the SEC than people thought they were going to have.
No doubt.
They played in a championship game. Of course, they dropped that game, but at least they were there. Brady Cook, to your point, has already eclipsed 2,400 yards passing. I like their offense as a whole. You got Cody Schrader, the running back, with nearly 1,000 yards rushing already, and Luther Burton III. Luther, he's also right there, just shy of 1,000 yards receiving. So that's a balanced offense that has primetime players at all 3 levels: quarterback, running back, receiver.
And I just don't like the Vols on the road this season.
They've let you down one too many times.
They have. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. You won't hear me say that a lot.
for good reason.
Yeah.
Do you like? What do you think of that total?
Yeah, I think it's right there, Andy. I do believe that these teams probably are going to put up some points. Like we said, with a big arm, with Joe Milton, he is going to take some shots. And like you said, with those really, really good offensive pieces, with quarterback, running back, wide receiver for Missouri, they are going to score some points. So with it being at 58.5, 58 right now, I do believe it probably hits the over. I really do. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a really good game.
Boy, that really shows you. I mean, all the Big Ten teams that we talk about, it's at 36. Ooh, 41. And then we go to SEC, 58.5.
That's what it is.
Hit the over.
And we're thinking it's going to hit. I think it's going to hit.
All right, you heard the horn. That means we're up against it. But let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I am your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
The Parlay.
You got it.
And we are getting back into your wheelhouse here.
I'm jacked up.
That is the UFC. Yeah, that's why I had to do a little Bruce Buffer
for sure.
Invitation there. You know, no one can be the Bruce.
It's time.
He's the big dog. But it's time. You're exactly right. This is UFC 295 at Madison Square Garden, New York. Back at the Garden. Main card starts at 9 o'clock, that pay-per-view, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And it's Saturday. It's Veterans Day.
Yeah.
The UFC does it right. So many cool things going on.
For sure. Yeah, the Huskers have already won. You're at home. Yep. You wanted, something to watch that's not college football. Yep. UFC 295 at Madison Square Garden is the place to be. First fight that we want to get into, Andy, we're going right up to the top 3 fights of this one because it's loaded at the top. We got we got 2 title fights, and then we got this strawweight women's fight, which is going to be one of the best that you're going to see here. Mackenzie Dern versus Jessica Andrade. And Mackenzie Dern's a huge favorite here at minus 220.
Yeah, and she should be because Andrade she's coming off a few losses.
Yeah.
I think she's showing her age. The Brazilian, she weighs more, but that's been the story in a lot of her fights at strawweight. She's at 132, and she's taking on Dern, the American Mackenzie, who's weighs in at a 115, both made weight. You guys are on a reach. I just don't have any faith in the older Brazilian here in Jessica.
No, that's just the way it is, Andy. You spelled it out perfect there. Jessica, who's on a 3-fight losing streak, has lost by stoppage in every single one of them. She hasn't looked like her normal stuff, like you said. Now she is back down to strawweight, where Dern will have a big advantage on the ground. Although Dern doesn't have the best takedowns, she is still able to push Andre towards the fence and work her down to the ground that way. Once Dern gets her on the ground, it's money in the bank. So if you want to look at a kind of a play here that I'm looking at, Andy, it's Mackenzie Dern to win by submission is at a plus 120 at most books right now.
Does that include stoppage, win by submission?
By submission.
Any kind of stoppage?
No, it has to be, she has to tap.
And it doesn't give you a moment of pause there, knowing that Dern might not be the best grappler out there?
I just know that once she gets her down to the ground, she is one of the best. She is one of the best at it once she gets down on the ground. I just don't see the value at putting Mackenzie Dern at minus 220 because I believe she's going to win, but there's just not a lot of value at minus 220.
There really isn't, and I have zero faith in the Brazilian here after watching the last couple bouts with her. I don't even know what you'd be looking at or looking for.
One of the best women fighter of all time, but like you said, age catches up to everybody, and this past champion, it's probably time to take her out to ranch, and this might be the fight that does it.
Bet the American minus 205. Dern going all the way. Mackenzie, don't let us down on Veterans Day. She's got to defend home turf.
She's gonna.
The Garden. All right, let's move on up this card here. These are a couple heavyweights, and this is for the belt. After a couple shuffling at the top here, a couple guys, deserving guys. And every time we talk about Sergey Pavlovich,
you love him,
and Tom Aspinall, the number 4 contender in the world, the Englishman, these guys pummel people. They take care of business. I think every single time we talk about these guys, they've come out winners. Even when Sergey was an underdog, it just doesn't matter. And Sergey, by the way, is the number 2 contender in the world. Both are at a minus money right now. Aspinall, a slight favorite at minus 118.
Yeah, nobody knows where to go with this one, Andy, and it's correct because, like you said, these guys are both coming in.
Yeah.
Sergey was the backup fighter for John Jones versus Stipe. Obviously, neither one of them wanted to fight one of these guys. So here we are with Aspinall versus Sergey. This is a very good fight, Andy. I love it. It's a striking duel, Andy. That's just what it is across the board, which it's almost certainly going to win within
knockout.
The first 2 rounds.
It's going to be a knockout. Yeah. And that's how that's how these betting lines are laid out right now. No doubt. Right?
Yes.
What is it, 1.5 over?
Yeah, over under 1.5 is that big minus money right here with the under. It's a 5-round fight, but these guys are not looking for that. That's not how they fight. I like Sergey. I've been on him, like you said, for a while now, wanting him to get a shot. And this isn't John Jones. This is Tom Aspinall. I'm a huge fan of Tom Aspinall. Obviously, we've talked about him on the show, but Sergey's had a full camp. He's been been preparing for the role of the backup for Jones versus Stipe.
Yep.
Secondly, he's at least just as good a striker as Aspinall, but he has a much longer reach than the Englishman. Pavlovich's arms are 6 inches longer than those of Aspinall. So he should be able to prevent him from unleashing that full power. So I love Sergi. I think he's going to knock him out probably in round 1.
Probably a round 1 knockout. And that 6-inch reach is crazy because he's 2 inches shorter than Aspinall. Aspinall looks like an NFL
he really does.
rush end. I mean, he looks like a machine. Just cut. Sergi, kind of a different shape to him, the Russian. But, man, can he pummel you. He's a striker.
He's a striker. Both guys striker. This is going to be one of the funnest fights. But make sure you're there for the start of the round because it could be over quickly.
Don't get caught at the refrigerator.
Do not get caught at the refrigerator.
And these two guys, between them, only have 4 losses. Sergi's sitting at 18-1. Tom Aspinall, 13-3 overall in the UFC.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty impressive stuff.
In all of their wins, all knockouts.
And big names, too, for the latter half of who they've been going against.
For sure. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to watch this fight.
All right, should we move out to the title?
Let's
the title fight, the headliner.
Let's do a title fight again.
We're going to check in with Chinchilla Prochazka.
Yeah.
He is a plus 102 underdog to Alex Pereira, who's the number 3 contender in the world. The Brazilian has got so much. I mean, he just came from the kickboxing world, right? Yeah. And he just kind of took the UFC by storm. Of course, he had that win over your guy, Izzy.
Yeah.
But then Izzy got him back.
He got him back.
And shot the arrows at him and everything else.
Yeah.
But it just kind of feels like Pereira's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that, Andy, but I'm going to tell you why you're dead wrong.
Oh, here we go.
Yuri is coming for this title, his title. He's getting it back. Alex Pereira is doing a very bad thing here and coming up too
fast?
Light heavyweight to fight this guy. Yuri Prochazka had the belt before. He took it away from Glover Teixeira. Then he got hurt, so he had to give it up, all that kind of stuff. So I believe Alex Pereira is kind of out of his element here because I think he thinks that he's going to be a lot more, agile and faster than this guy.
Right.
But this guy is
a heavyweight. Light heavyweight.
A light heavyweight.
Yeah.
And Alex Pereira has, they say he's a light heavyweight, but he had the advantage when he went down to fight people like Izzy and stuff like that.
Right.
He could shed those pounds and still be as big as he was. This guy is just as big as him and has fought people just as big as him. Yuri, if you just go down the line, Andy, I'm just looking at his past fights.
Unbelievable record. 29-3-1. That's a lot of fights.
And he got a title shot within his first 3 fights of the UFC.
Yikes.
They do not do that with people, Andy, unless they see promise in this. So he beat Volkan, he beat Dominic Reyes, and then he beat Glover for the light heavyweight title. I just believe you can get this guy at plus money right now. Do it. I just love this guy across the board.
And there's still not a lot of tape on Alex.
No, there's not.
I mean, he just hasn't. 8-2 is his record.
Yeah. I know
he's bouncing around between classes. That doesn't work out for very many guys in the UFC.
No, it really doesn't.
No.
And they both fighters, if I can go technical a little bit, Andy, have similar fighting styles because they have a solid striking background and and a kickboxing background as well. The elite striking by both men was a key to their success in the octagon so far. But Yuri's a little bit more,
polished?
I wouldn't say polished, but a little more funky, and he gets really good angles and stuff. Pereira, on the other hand, is a much more calculated, sophisticated striker. He patiently waits, but he kind of gets himself at a counter is how he likes to do it, but we saw that backfire
That's
against
some jiu-jitsu there, doing the counter thing.
I mean, he also packs a thunderous right-hand punch. Any one of these guys can win on one punch, but I really just believe Yuri wins this by TKO. I got him putting down Alex, and Alex might be retiring after this. One other thing that I have to say,
No
Andy,
way.
Yuri Prochazka, 31 years of age.
Yeah.
Alex Pereira, 36 years of age. This is another one that I think this guy might be living out his dream in one of his last title fights ever, just because this guy's getting old.
Yeah.
And he's jumping around weight classes, trying to get title fights.
Right.
Yuri's going to put him out, and this might be the last we see of Alex.
In a title fight anyway, because, he's had a lot of opportunities really early in his career. He's been around. He just hasn't been around the UFC very long.
For sure.
And Yuri, like you have mentioned and went through that list of fights, his overall record, he's been around the block. He's been there.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's ready to take that belt back.
I really do believe he needs his belt back. What better way to do it? The mecca of all meccas at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
Fighting a very good fighter in Alex Pereira. This is going to be a fun one, too.
All righty. So we're going with Yuri.
Yeah, we're going with Yuri, Andy. And if you want to, sprinkle a little bit of this on a parlay, I got 3+ money bets to sprinkle on them with you. We got Mackenzie Dern by submission at +120. Sergey Pavlovich to win by TKO +120 as well. Yuri Prochazka to win by TKO at a +180. You put them all three together, Andy. It's a +1255 bet if you put $20 on that, Andy. Just 20.
Okay, yeah.
You're getting $271 in return. You can't beat that value.
Hey.
It's a fun way to spend $20.
$20. It's Saturday night. It's Veterans Day. Take a minute to remember and all those good things.
Yeah.
And then sprinkle a little on a parlay here and cash it in, right?
Exactly. Or you just pick one of those plus money bets and put a whole bunch on it. I'll probably do both. So
nice. Like it. UFC 295. You can bet we're getting that pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Well, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. We have been drinking I have been, their pumpkin ale, Wick for Brains. I bought the last 6-pack from my local grocery store.
Yeah.
Crafted with real pumpkins, giving it a rich amber ale seasonal flavor not found in other pumpkin ales. What do you got?
I'm getting back on the Taco Vesa train, Andy. They have been back at my local Hy-Vee.
There we go.
It's one of the best easy drinking beers on the market. It's very good, very easy drinking beer from Nebraska Brewing Company.
It's like a Tecate, but a little smoother, I would say.
Little smoother, for sure.
Little smoother. There we go. Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
The Parlay Pounder.
Heck yeah, you made it. You're on the segment. You're on the right segment for this parlay, for sure.
Little football parlay.
Yeah.
Sort of UFC parlay. And we are getting back into college football because there are so many ranked.
Great games.
Yeah, it's really getting into that fun part of the schedule, right?
Where really is.
You're getting 7-2, 8-1 versus 9-0. And that's exactly what we're looking at right here.
Yeah.
Top 10 ranked. Woo! Ole Miss. The Rebels are 8-1, and they're heading on over to Athens, Georgia, to take on the 9-0 Bulldogs. And this is unreal. I get it. Georgia's, 9-0, and they've won 26 games in a row.
Yeah.
But to be a 10.5-point favorite over a top 10 team within your conference, I mean, that's some scary stuff.
It really is, Andy. And is that all it is? I thought it was 19.5, Andy.
It opened at 19.5.
It opened at 19.5, and it's already got bet down
to
far.
10.5.
Okay, I'm not as scared of it now, Andy, because I looked at that earlier in the week, Andy, and I was in there 19.5 points. Are you
Get
kidding
out of
me?
Here. Yeah.
And I was.
You thought like everybody else.
And to tell you the truth, I was still slightly on the Georgia side.
Man.
The Bulldogs really did take a while to get going against Missouri, last Saturday, but ultimately finished with 385 yards, 254 of those passing, 21 first downs, and 0 turnovers, Andy. When you're team that has 0 turnovers and have the defense that Georgia does, that is absolutely crazy. That makes 24 or more points in every game for Georgia this year and 30 or more points in each of its last 4 outings. This offense is rolling. Yeah. As for Ole Miss, though, you can't blink at them. Like you just said, they only have one loss on the year. They managed 518 yards last week against Texas A&M, but also committed 8 penalties and had a sketchy 4 of 11 success rate on third down. Obviously, I do not believe that they're going to be able to do this against Georgia.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're getting that hook at the 10.5, but I do believe Georgia wins this by multiple scores, and I mean multiple touchdowns.
So you feel pretty good about taking Georgia here regardless.
No doubt.
I mean, you'd
I love it.
I mean, if you're looking at 19.5, you're not even blinking at 10.5.
Not blinking. I love them by 2 touchdowns for sure. Probably push it to 21 points if Georgia really wants to stomp on them.
Yeah, so obviously the spread got bet down about 9 points.
Yeah.
But that over-under, the total got bet down as well to 58.
Yeah. It was probably a little outrageous over 60, but not with the way that Georgia's offense has been playing. And like I just said, Ole Miss had 500 yards last week, so there are points out there. It's just I'm kind of scared of it. If Georgia's defense is on point, the Bulldogs should be able to hold this Ole Miss team in check. It's a fun game regardless. I just am sidestepping that over-under. I would go under if I had to do it, but it kind of contradicts my other bet, so I'm not going to.
A couple of these score predictors and models that I'm looking at have Georgia scoring 43 and Ole Miss scoring 70.
Correct.
Yeah. They're saying they're gonna cruise.
It's probably the way it's going to be.
Yeah, they're saying they're going to cruise there, and obviously that's good to cover the 10.5.
Yeah,
as
no
well.
doubt about it.
It's crazy to say, but I'm going Bulldogs too.
All of Georgia. It's crazy that they're 9 in the nation and getting that many points. It's terrible, but Georgia, I think, is just that much better than this team.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. All right, should we head on out west?
Another double digit.
Yes, it is. UFC Trojans, they have fallen on their swords here, fallen on hard times, and now they got to head out to Eugene, Oregon to take on the high-flying Ducks, who have recouped after the loss to Washington, which doesn't look like that bad of a loss.
Definitely looks good.
They are sitting at 8-1, and they are over a 2-touchdown favorite over the Trojans. Trojans fell out of the rankings, too.
Yeah.
The unranked Trojans are a 14.5-point underdog on the road to the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, Andy. It just looks like USC falling apart. You know, they were the team to beat in the Pac-12, Heisman Trophy winner, to losing 3 of their last 4 games, and Williams crying the stands like you alluded to in the last segment.
Poor guy.
USC is 123rd in total defense, 124th in scoring defense.
They're without a defensive coordinator because he got fired.
Exactly. Not great going against Oregon, the best scoring offense in the country. Yeah. With all that said, Andy, we're getting 2 full touchdowns.
Yes.
USC still has the elite quarterback.
They do.
You saw how much this guy cares about football. Yeah. He does not want to lose. And 2 of their 3 losses were decided by 10 or fewer points.
Okay.
This line suggests that USC is a middle-of-the-road Pac-12 team, and I'm just not there yet. Even with a bad defense, give me those points. The Trojans cover here. I don't believe they win, but they give Oregon a scare, and they cover.
This line opened up at 4.5. And it went the other way. It got back all the way up. A 10-point swing from the opening line on Monday or Sunday all the way up to 14.5. Your crazy movement. And I'm just shocked when I see that type of movement on some of these games.
It's crazy.
Because you should already...
you should already have your money on it.
Right.
If you're an Oregon guy.
And I'm thinking odds makers got to know what people are thinking a little bit better than within 10.5, 12 points, but I guess not.
Not in 2 of these 3 games that we just talked about.
No. So the books are sharpening up, but has it been too late? Has too much money been put in on Oregon early?
It probably is, Andy, but I just believe that, this is a stride to get some of that money back on USC. I do believe that they can cover within 2 touchdowns. Like we said, it's still Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
He's still number 1. He's still number 1 pick off the board no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, I've been picking on the guy, but he is still an elite quarterback. Of course he is. He's the reigning Heisman Trophy winner.
He's the man.
I mean, we've been talking about totals in the 60, 65.
Yeah.
How about 73.5? That's what we're looking at here. 73.5.
Andy.
Bo Nix wants to duel and show out against the reigning Heisman. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And this is I forgot to mention, this game's going to be on Fox. 9:30 Central Standard Time kickoff. Kickoff at 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, the only people that kick off after him is Air Force in Hawaii. So, it's pretty crazy, Andy. When you're talking about that many points, can they get there? The answer is yes, they can. Yeah. These 2 teams, if any 2 teams can do it, it's Well, I'd throw Washington in there as well, but those three teams in the Pac-12, they can put up these kinds of points, and it probably is going to happen, especially if USC has a chance to win this game.
I can't believe I'm laying these points, but I'm going to do it. Oregon has been covering a lot. They are 7-1 in their last 8 games against the spread. USC, on the other hand, they're 0-7
they are
against the spread. The Trojans don't cover. They haven't covered much this year, and they're just not heading the right direction. I like the Ducks. You like the Trojans, right?
I'm on Trojans, covering those 2 touchdowns. They've been favored in most of those games that you're talking about, Andy, obviously. But no, you can't discredit anything Oregon's done this year. They're just one of the best college football teams in the nation. That's it.
Well, let's get to one of the most talked about games of the weekend here. And we're talking about the Maryland Terrapins.
Yes.
Coming to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on our Cornhuskers. Both teams are sitting at 5-4. And if you're being honest with yourself, and I'm talking about Maryland fans and Nebraska fans, if at the preseason you would have said, hey, you're sitting at 5-4 at this point, I think everybody would have took it.
Yeah, no doubt, Andy. Obviously, Maryland took a lot different way of getting there than Nebraska did, starting out 5-0, and then dropping the last 4 games. Obviously, we've been up and down all season long, getting to this 5-4 point. Should have that 6th win already in the bank. This is our other best shot. Obviously, I said that on the podcast last week. Michigan State was our best chance to get to 6 wins. Because this Maryland offense is nothing to joke around about. Maryland Tagovailoa. He is a very good Big Ten quarterback. I'm not going to say he's the best quarterback we played already, because we've already played J.J. McCarthy and a couple other guys in the Big Ten, but I think I have to lean towards the Huskers.
The 2-point home dog is
what we're getting points. I'm going with the Huskers.
Catching the 2.
I would feel very much better if it was still at 3, but I no matter what, I like the Huskers in this matchup.
I'm kind of surprised that there's not more of a, and maybe they are factoring that in there, but I'm just not seeing it. This to me is more of a toss-up game. All the metrics that I'm looking at, this is screaming toss-up, so I would not be surprised if this gets bet down to a pick-em.
Yeah.
So if you are on Nebraska in any way, shape, or form, you got to take these 2 points. Pinch your nose, whatever, and take them. They're a home dog.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do the points, or you could just do the plus money line bet is where much a lot of people will do. As for Maryland, they posted negative 49 rushing yards against Penn State, along with just 15 first downs, 4 turnovers, and 4 for 12 on 3rd down. You have to think that at least our defense is something measurable to that Nittany Lions defense. Our defense has been playing lights out. They gave us chances to win almost every week in and out. So I do believe that we're going to have a chance to win this game at the end. It's just can our running back / our quarterback get into the end zone? Can we hold on to the ball and get into the end zone?
That's it.
I believe we win this with 17 points. Can we get there?
Over, under at 45 real quick.
Under.
Under. Yeah, I think the under. Yep.
If this gets to 45, Nebraska probably doesn't win.
And this line opened up Maryland -3, so it has been bet down to that -2 for Maryland being the road favorite here heading to Lincoln. That doesn't even sound right.
It just really doesn't. We have family out in Maryland. They're coming in for the game. It's a little more juiced up for us, obviously, Andy. We got the enemy coming into town. I'm looking at you, Charlie. I'm looking at you, Louie. But
Terrapins.
Terrapins coming into town. But no, this is going to be a really close matchup, a really fun game to watch, Andy, especially if you're a fan of either of these two teams.
All righty, Mr. Parlay Pounder. You got a parlay play here, don't you?
I got 3 games scoped out that I think are going to hit, Andy. I got Kansas at home against Texas Tech. Texas Tech is just 4-5. Kansas is ranked 16th in the nation at 7-2.
Yep.
They're only a 2.5-point favorite. I believe that is a lock. I got the San Francisco 49ers going on the road to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
They are a 3-point favorite. I believe they take care of the Jaguars, destroy them. McCaffrey, big day, I believe. Debo's back. Brock's going to be rolling. I love that one. Only a 3-point favorite. And then I got the Buffalo Bills. We talked about it in the first segment. Yep. I got them winning by 6, just the line at 6.5. under that touchdown mark against the Denver Broncos. I believe they do. I do believe they win by a touchdown.
Okay, so all they got to do is win by 7 to get you there.
Yep, and we're putting $25 on this to win 113.
There you go. That's a pretty good return on 3 little bets there that should cash for you.
They should cash, right? Andy. I believe these all have a really good chance. Just hoping those Bills on Monday night can stand tall.
So you're going to have to wait all the way to Monday night and sweat it the whole time.
Sweat it the whole time. Love it.
Well, that'll about do it for us this week, folks. Be sure to follow us on ESPN Tri-City Radio and their Facebook page. And also on Twitter. We got some fun games coming up. We're working with Hurrdat Sports now. They're on ESPN Tri-City Radios with their morning show. They're also helping us out here on Thursdays on Tri-Cities as well. If you haven't already, please give us a look on YouTube and subscribe to that. We have over 2,000 subs. We love each and every one of you and the feedback interactions we get with you guys. And oh, by the way, we got some fun games coming up.
Oh, yes, we do.
Not only on YouTube, but on our Twitter handle as well. So tune in. Everybody can be a winner. All they're going to have to do is leave a comment.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you follow. Make sure you comment. All that kind of stuff, because we got some games coming your way, some prizes that you guys are going to be able to win. So make sure that you're following and subscribing on all our socials.
Just search for WTL Sports Betting Show, and we're everywhere.
We're there.
For JaBron, the Parlay Pounder, I'm Andy Classen. Thank you for listening. This has been WTL.